Alright, hello everyone, I'm back from my holidays. I hope you had a good one as well. And I'm back just in time so that we can get chapter 5.5. Chapter 5.5 will be tomorrow for me, to the 28th of December, and it will last until January 25th. You need to clear your main story 536, so you need to clear all of Canto 5 basically in order to get the event. But if you have not cleared yet and you don't have time, then feel free to just do your main story slowly, because what they've done is that they've made the grind a little bit more forgiving. You can get trinket sacks by just clearing your main story, by clearing the stages, the event stages, and then you can also do mirror dungeon to get the trinket sacks. So honestly, there's a lot of other ways to get your trinket sacks, which help to lessen the grind for yourself, which is very nice, honestly. I remember the previous events, if you are a new player, they did not have all of these like extra ways to get the trinket sacks, so we really just have to focus on grinding the final stage, which was honestly quite boring and quite painful. Glad that they have decided to change that. So what this event is for new players, or maybe you never played gachas before, basically you just go and do the story, you get to the end of the story, there'll be one stage. This stage has a buffed drop rate. So pretty much this is the most efficient Encephalin to trinket sack ratio, which means that your energy will be very efficient here. This is pretty much the best place to go and farm. And straight up, PMoon is telling you, go farm here, right? Besides this, if you scroll down here, pretty much you will get this huge trinket sack as well. This one is from the scrap metal event, I'm pretty sure. So this scrap metal event here, basically they introduced this sack here, and this sack here is worth 20 of the trinket sacks that you need. To get this, the highest chance to drop is from the final encounter of the event, so make sure you go and do the final encounter. They are just throwing all this free stuff here to the final encounter. It's the most Encephalin efficient, and it's also a chance of the highest chance of getting this huge trinket sack to lessen your grind. So that's pretty much the place you will be grinding the entire event. In addition to all of that, of course, Mirror Dungeon will also have trinket sacks. This one is new. I think the previous events did not have any of this. So yeah, this is quite nice. It means that if you want to go and farm your Starlight and whatever, feel free to just go and farm your Starlights, because you're actually getting trinket sacks anyway. So you're doing the event and you're doing your Starlight farm. So it doesn't really stop you too much. Mirror Dungeon 3 Heart gives you 200, while the normal one gives you 100. But you need to use I believe, your rewards chance for the week for the Heart Dungeon. Otherwise, the Heart Dungeon will only give you 100. Yep, so that is the downside to that. But hey, if you want to farm your Starlights, at least you can get your trinket sack farm going as well. So that's quite nice. For main story, if you haven't cleared yet, then you will be able to get trinket sacks as a one-time reward. Only for one time, first-time reward. You cannot obtain trinket sacks from stages that you already completed, and Luxcavations do not give you trinket sacks, so do not expect that. So pretty much the only 3 places to get trinket sacks are your mirror dungeon, your event stages, as well as your first time clears of a main story combat encounter. Only those. Yep. So I mean, it's really a lot better. If I ask for more, then that's a bit too much. Event egos, pretty much the same as previous events. You will be able to get boosts to the drop rates. Not the drop rates. You get more basically. You get more by equipping the ego. So Holiday Outis is the pooled one, which is why it has a 40%, and then Heathcliff will be given for free. You just need to grind until you are able to get him from your trinket sacks. So what happens is that I believe he'll be around maybe the 1000th or the 2000th mark for the trinket sacks, and then you'll be able to get him, and then the rest of the grind will be a lot better because you have this 20% boost. For Outis, if you are an old player, then feel free to just go and sparkle just for this 40%, like straight up, so that you can improve your grind rate and reduce the amount of times you need to go and do the grind. For new players, maybe don't do it yet. I need to check if the values of Outis is actually very good. Otherwise, it might just be a bit of a waste. But at the same time, if you're a new player and you don't want to grind that much also, then feel free to go and pull or spark for your Holiday Outis. Although I do highly recommend sparking, because pulling on ego banners is kind of lame, because you don't really get much else. Right, so besides that, pretty much the way this event rewards work is pretty much like all of the other events. You just do 20 to get the first one, 40 to get the second one, and blah 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 blah. So you have to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, pretty much very slowly grinding until you can get to the Heathcliff ego to improve your grind in the future. So yeah, pretty much the same as all of the previous events. Just go left to right, left to right, left to right. Yep. Right, so that is pretty much it for the event. Just get to the final stage, start grinding the final stage, and if you have not reached the final stage, then you can just do mirror dungeons as well as your first time clear for the event. So this is quite nice for new players, because forcing a new player to go from chapter 1 to chapter 5 in a few days is kind of crazy. So at least they do accommodate for that. So I think that's quite nice of PMoon. Right. So for the egos, right, let's talk about Heathcliff's one. I think Heathcliff's one is probably the worst one, because Heathcliff's replaces body sack, and body sack is just too good, because body sack into a quick suppression is the classic combo for Rabbit Heathcliff, and you pretty much will never remove that for this. So in my opinion, I think this is just not going to be very useful for meta stuff, but could possibly be kind of interesting for like potency application and shit. I still don't think it's good, unfortunately, even for that, because it is a random application of potency. And this reminds me of Gregor's base ego. Gregor's base ego also applies a random status. And when you do statuses, you don't want random shit. Because if you get random shit, then it's not helping the game plan that you're trying to go for. So yeah, the way he works is that because this ego is a gluttony ego, you will be able to repeat the above process by X plus highest gluttony A resistance count times, which means that you probably run your 7 association gang because they produce a lot of gluttony and they are more focused on rupture. So you will be able to apply potency of the selected effects next turn up here based on your highest gluttony A resonance times. The thing is, when I do rupture gang, the entire 7 association is just rupture gang. I don't want the rest of this. I just want more rupture. So I can hit my 99 ruptures and then just maintain my rupture count, and then I just kill the enemy. That's pretty much what I want to do. So having random shit here is just not worth it, honestly. I'd rather use a body sack, to be fair. And even if I do, right, I'm not gonna use body sack either because it's cell association, so I don't really care too much. So I don't know. This ego just feels kind of wonky. Like, why could it have just been rupture? I would have been very happy if it was just rupture. Then cell association can just use it, because then straight up gluttony resonance plus rupture. Wow, that's great, because this is also a gluttony ego. Perfect. But no, it's random, so I could get tremor with my rupture gang, and that's like worthless. What am I gonna do with that? Nothing. Yeah. On kill, you randomly select one of the following effects: poise, charge, haste, offense level, or defense level, and you apply it to 2 random allies next turn. This is also random. It's literally like shit that could be useful or worthless, and then you give it to 2 random, so I can't choose who I get it. So this is just like it's basically just a thematic gifting of presents to everyone. I don't know. It's just like it's just not very interesting to me. For the corrosion part here is slightly interesting because you get an AoE here if the target's SP is X or higher. You inflict SP damage to your target, and if you get attack weight, it's AoE SP down, and then on hit randomly select blah 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 blah. Basically, you just copy paste this part here and just slap it here. That's what you get. So it's once again the not so good part of this. And then for the passive here, when the unit has a status effect or negative effect, so you need to have this status effect or negative effect. And if the main target or the attacker has a positive effect. So you need both of these things to be true, which means that you need to apply yourself a bad thing. So you need to apply either burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, or sinking. And the main target needs to have a positive effect, which is not hard, to be fair, because you can get quite a few positive effects on a lot of enemies. They will, for example, apply defense level up on themselves. That is a very common one to see, so not impossible, but the fact that you need to apply a negative effect to yourself, right, is quite tricky, because first off, you don't want that, and second off, only one Heathcliff actually does that. I think only Suncliff does that. Pretty much the rest of them do not do this application of, like, for example, sinking to themselves. So in order for this to happen, you need to play someone like Suncliff, and then you need to apply your sinking to yourself because that's what he does. And then you need to hope your enemy gets like some buffs or something. It's not super hard, but at the same time, it's a bit annoying that you have to do that. Right, and then the benefit of this really tricky condition is that you inflict more burn, bleed, tremor, rupture, and sinking to yourself and the enemies with skill effects or coin effects. Which for Suncliff is interesting because you actually apply a bunch of random shit with Suncliff. But at the same time, like, man, this is just whatever, man. you can get more poise and charge count skill effects or coin effects. So you can do like AADD Heathcliff charge count stuff, but there's already so many egos. I don't know. This ego is just kind of everywhere. We got some random shit here, and then you got this passive here that requires you to be negative effect on yourself or status, and then you need your enemy to be positive effect also in order to apply more potency to them. So the numbers here are going to have to be quite good in order for me to justify using that. So it quite reminds me of Suncliff. Basically, the numbers have to be like amazing in order for me to justify using this. Otherwise, body stack is just going to be the main ego most of the time, because body stack is just fixed value and is very good value because attack power is good and haste is good. So yeah, this is definitely a no-go for me. But the next one is Outis's, and Outis's one is actually quite interesting because I think if the numbers are good, right, this could be actually used ego. So Outis here triggers Tremor Burst. So there's already a hint that it's for the Molar Outis. And you apply damage up for the affinity with the highest resistance count to 4 allies with the least SP, and you heal SP for 4 allies with the least SP. So do remember that I think Ebony's Stem is still a he ego because it's only Sun Shower got moved to the WoW ego. So Outis is still fighting with Ebony Stem most of the time for this slot. So for Ebony Stem, right, Ebony Stem is a rupture focus ego, but it doesn't really do much for Tremor, right? So this one is technically more focused to Molar Outis because you will be able to get your sloth damage up with this part here, and you can also heal SP for 4 allies with the least SP, and you also trigger Tremor Burst, and because you're Molar Outis, you'll be able to get your additional damage bonus from this Tremor Burst. So that is pretty much the synergistic thing I see for Outis. And then for the corroded form here, you lose HP equal to X% of max HP. I don't really know why this part is here. Inflict SP damage, trigger Tremor Burst, inflict fragility for the affinity with the highest resistance count. So this one will probably be Sloth again, because then you'll be able to apply Sloth fragility for the affinity, which is probably going to be Sloth again. And then Tails attack and gain damage up to the affinity with the highest, which is going to be Sloth again. So what this part here means is that you as an Outis need to go first, and then you need to apply this fragility, and then you need to apply this damage up, so that the rest of your allies will be able to get it, because this is a this turn damage up, it's not a next turn damage up. So this part here is kind of wonky. You probably won't be using it that much unless it's going to be AoE and huge damage, in which case you might use it. Otherwise, I don't think I'll see a place where I use this. And then the passive here is just iffy, because apply positive effect to other allies with skills or coins. So I don't see any of the other Outises doing this except for Shoutis. So that's the only thing I theorize could be the one that triggers this bottom part here. But the bottom part, right, is still random. And like I said, random shit is just not good. Because if I want to do one status, if I'm doing Tremor, then I just want Tremor. I don't really care about all of these other statuses here. So unless the numbers are amazing, then this is not going to be a very good passive either, because it's inflict X potency of selected effect to one random enemy. So if this number is not huge, I'm not going to be like caring about this passive too much. The numbers I really care about here is definitely on the top part here, because if this is like a triple AoE, does very good coinage, and then it does Tremor Burst, and then it also gives Sloth damage up, and it also heals SP, significant amount of SP, then yeah, this is a very good ego, because this part here is after attack, which means that after you lose the SP with Outis and you hit, well, you don't even need to hit, right? You will be able to get the SP back to Outis, so you could refund yourself with this. So yeah, it's quite interesting and possibly quite good. So I think Outis here has quite a bit of potential, just need to wait for the numbers. But if you're using your Rupture Outis, you'll probably not be using this, because Rupture Outis prefers Ebony Stem compared to this. And if the numbers of this is not that good, then you probably still use Ebony Stem just because of the higher damage. But yeah, this is looks to be a Molar Outis ego ultimately. I think one of the wonky things about this is also there is a Wrath ego, right? Wrath ego and then Sloth is kind of awkward. That means that you need to get the affinity bonus needs to be gotten from the rest of your allies, which means the rest of your allies need to be spamming their Sloth skills when you pop this ego, so you can apply damage up for your Sloth gang. Maybe Wrath could be implied that she's going to be a burn unit or something, because burn is the only one I can think of that has a lot of Wrath, and currently there's no absolute Wrath resonance for a lot of stuff that is related to burn yet. Actually, maybe there is a few, but it's just not like pronounced right now because burn has not been supported for quite a bit. I don't know. But yeah, that is my opinion of this Ego here. I think this Ego is probably the one with the most potential, and I think Heathcliff one here is just... Yeah, I think because it's the free Ego, it's just gonna be like thrown in the dumpster immediately after this event. This is quite similar to a lot of the other event stuff. If it's free, it's probably not gonna be very useful. Yep. So that is my opinion for this Ego here. So pretty much summarize this event as clear your main story 536, get to the end of your story, and then do the final stage and grind that shit so that you'll be able to get your free Ego as well as a higher drop rate for this special huge trinket sack. Then go and get the Heathcliff Ego as well as the Outis Ego if you want to go and boost the drops so that you'll be able to finish the event faster. And pretty much the event unlock is the same as everything else. And even if you haven't unlocked your 536, you still get some trinket sacks from clearing main story, so this is quite nice for your new players. Then for the Egos, I think just wait for the numbers first before I say anything else. But I think Heathcliff is probably not going to be used at all, and I think that Outis is probably going to be quite interesting if the numbers are good. Otherwise, it's not going to be very good. So that is my opinion of these Egos as well as the event. I think it's quite nice that PMoon has improved the events again. As long as you let PMoon cook, right, the events usually just get better and better. So this is really quite a nice step forward. Yep. So I'm quite happy with that, and I really cannot wait to see what Dawn and Heathcliff are doing. Oh, I forgot to mention. Actually, I noticed in the background art it's pretty much rudolta from Lob Corp. But the thing is, it's not rudolta because this picture here looks like it's a giant fist. So I'm thinking that this is either the Santa, which is on top of Rudolta's like back, or it's just another Rudolta-like creature. I really don't know. Maybe it's like an elf. Maybe it's like a Santa elf, but it's Rudolta. I really don't know. If you guys don't know, Rudolta is like from Lob Corp. And pretty much he is literally just Rudolph, and then on the back of him is a Santa. So yeah, it's kind of creepy when I first saw him, and I was yeah, this is definitely just Rudolta, but possibly like an elf, but like super buff. I really don't know. Quite cool in the background, and I really like the fact that this is just body sacks, right? This is just sacks of blood, and this is just Heathcliff. So yeah, quite interesting. Heathcliff just replaced body sack with a very nice Christmas ornament stuff here, as well as some ribbons here. So very, very interesting. Very, very cool design, honestly. Yep. So can't wait to go and see what all of these Egos actually do in terms of numbers, and I cannot wait for the story as well. Right, so that is it. Feel free to just leave a comment if I made a mistake somewhere, and then we can just go and look at it again. Or if you know anything about the whether these Egos are going to be limited or not, because that's quite important. Yeah, if you already know, then you know, then let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, we will just wait until the dispensary comes out, then we'll be able to determine whether they are infinite or they are going to be a season 3 exclusive. Yeah. Alright, that's all. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.